completely out of tempo with the performers. And so the dissonance continues with the political players. Here's how Trump sums up the self-defined peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia.
We're calling it the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accords.
And here's what Thailand's foreign minister says.
So would you call it a peace deal? Well, I would call the pathway towards peace.
The signing of the accord had some sense of synchrony. And whilst the US president spoke in absolutes,
this is a momentous day for all of the people of Southeast Asia as we sign a historic agreement to end the military conflict between Cambodia and Thailand.
There's every reason to be cautious. This is a century-old border dispute between Thailand and Cambodia, with the most recent flare-up in July. The issue is rooted in a map created during French colonial rule in Cambodia in 1907. The latter still uses that map, but Thailand says it's inaccurate. At least 40 people were killed this summer and hundreds of thousands displaced. Trump intervened, dangling the threat of stunted tariff negotiations over both countries to elicit a ceasefire. The US president is on a 5-day tour in Southeast Asia. He's already signed a flurry of trade deals. Malaysia has agreed not to impose quotas on critical mineral exports to the US. He'll visit Japan's first and newly elected female prime minister and meet Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, in South Korea. Today, the US Treasury Secretary described the much-hyped meeting as having a positive framework.
The president had given me maximum leverage when he threatened 100% tariffs if the Chinese imposed their rare earth global export controls. So I think we have averted that.
Earlier today, this.
I have nominated President Donald J. Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. And
Some say it's Trump's fundamental motivation. And perhaps for the countries reaping the fruits of his negotiations, it simply doesn't matter.
Well, joining me now from Washington, D.C. is Liza Tobin, who was China director at the White House National Security Council during the Trump and Biden administrations and is now an adjunct senior fellow at the Center for New American Security. Liza Tobin, thanks very much for joining us. We're told that the US and China have agreed this framework deal. What do we know about it?
Thanks so much for having me on, Jackie. Yeah, we don't have the full picture yet. We've heard a lot more from the U.S. side, from Scott Bessent, than we have from the Chinese side, which has been pretty quiet yet. But what it seems to be is that I wouldn't characterize this as a breakthrough so much as potentially a return to a fragile ceasefire. So the most interesting thing that Secretary Scott Bessent, the lead U.S. trade negotiator, is signaling is that he may have gotten a 12-month delay on these Chinese rare earth export controls that China put out on October 9th, targeting the entire world. So if indeed that is confirmed, that would be, think of it as a ceasefire, really.
And we were talking not that long ago about President Trump threatening 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. So something has changed. How would you characterize that? I mean, who has blinked?
Yeah, so there's a lot of signals coming out of the U.S. side that they have come out of this trade negotiation maybe in the best shape possible. I think it would have been far too much to hope to actually have structural breakthroughs on the issues that have caused U.S.-China trade tensions for years, dating way back to the first Trump administration and even before that. So think about the massive trade deficit, the massive surplus that China runs with the United States. That really bothers President Trump, as well as these flows of fentanyl coming from China that are killing so many Americans. So I don't see any signs that the two sides were able to actually make progress dealing with those structural issues. But what we see is perhaps a pause. And I will remind people that the Chinese side hasn't put out really any detailed readouts. They seem to be quite cautious. They haven't even confirmed officially that Xi Jinping will meet with Trump in Korea in a few days. The US side has confirmed that Trump is up for the meeting, but the Chinese will often wait until the very last minute to confirm because they see that as more leverage, more time to see if things are going in their favor before they give final confirmation.
And if this meeting does go ahead, as I think I'm right in saying it's the first face-to-face meeting they will have had since Trump was re-elected, how significant might it be? What are the other issues that they might discuss?
Yeah, I think markets probably overstate how significant this meeting will be. The real negotiations did happen in Malaysia. This is where the US and the Chinese trade negotiations were really trying to set the table for their respective leaders to meet. So, what may emerge out of the Xi Trump meeting, if indeed it happens in Korea in a few days? Trump may come out of it saying that there's a deal. You may see some things that I would characterize as probably more window dressing than substance. So the two could announce, maybe some things like a task force or some kind of agreement to work on the fentanyl problem. We've seen that before. When I was in the Biden administration, the Chinese would sometimes agree to work with us on fentanyl, and it usually amounted to very little. They would sort of turn off enforcement of crackdowns of drug trafficking within their own system whenever they got upset with the US. So it was kind of this political toggling up and down of the cooperation. So I think the bottom line here is that if Trump and Xi meet and if they announce some kind of a deal, or if there's some kind of, positive sounding vibes coming out of the meeting, that they are mostly window dressing, that essentially kicks the can down the road on these deeper US-China tensions and really the tensions that China has with the entire world over technology supply chains.
Liza Tobin, I'm going to have to end it there, but thanks very much. Thank you.